Barbara Stanwyck, born Ruby Catherine Stevens on July 16, 1907 in Brooklyn, began life under circumstances that would have broken many. Losing her mother at just 4 years old and then being abandoned by her father shortly after, she was thrust into a childhood of instability. Raised largely by her older sister and moving between foster homes, she learned early how to rely on herself. These difficult beginnings didn't harden her in a negative way. They shaped her into someone fiercely independent, emotionally resilient, and deeply disciplined. Those traits would later define both her personal life and her acting career. There was no safety net, no easy path forward. Instead, she built herself piece by piece, learning how to survive and eventually thrive. That early sense of self-reliance stayed with her forever, influencing how she approached relationships, work, and fame. It's impossible to understand her success without first understanding the strength forged in those early years, from chorus girl to Broadway breakthrough. Before Hollywood ever noticed her, Stanwyck paid her dues in the most traditional way, on stage. She started as a chorus girl, performing in nightclubs and vaudeville circuits, slowly gaining confidence and experience. These early years weren't glamorous, they were demanding, uncertain, and often exhausting. But they gave her something invaluable, a deep understanding of performance and audience connection. Her big turning point came in 1926 when she landed a role in the Broadway play The Noose. That performance caught attention and opened doors that had previously seemed out of reach. It wasn't long before Hollywood came calling, offering her a chance to transition into film. Her debut in Broadway nights marked the beginning of a new chapter. Unlike many silent film actors who struggled with the transition to sound, Stanwyck adapted effortlessly. She had the voice, presence, and emotional depth that the new era of cinema demanded, a defining force in classic Hollywood. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, Stanwyck became one of the most respected and bankable stars in Hollywood. What set her apart wasn't just talent, it was versatility. She could shift between genres with ease, bringing authenticity to every role. In Stella Dallas, she delivered a deeply emotional performance that resonated with audiences, portraying sacrifice and maternal love with striking realism. Then, in The Lady Eve, she showed her comedic brilliance, proving she wasn't confined to heavy drama. Perhaps most famously, her role in Double Indemnity cemented her legacy as one of the defining figures of film noir. She brought complexity to her characters, strength mixed with vulnerability, intelligence layered with emotion. Even without winning a competitive Oscar, her work spoke volumes, earning her lasting respect and eventually an honorary Academy Award in recognition of her immense contribution to cinema. Love, loss, and personal challenges. Stanwyck's personal life was far more complicated than her on-screen roles might suggest. Her first marriage to Frank Fay began with promise but gradually became strained. Differences in personality and lifestyle created tension, and despite adopting a son together, the relationship could not be sustained. After their divorce, she took on the responsibility of raising her child while continuing her demanding career. Later, she found love again with Robert Taylor, a relationship that captured public attention and seemed almost like a Hollywood fairy tale. Yet even that marriage faced challenges over time. Their eventual separation was handled with grace, reflecting her ability to navigate heartbreak without public bitterness. Through it all, Stanwyck remained composed, channeling her emotions into her work rather than public drama. Her resilience in love mirrored the strength she had developed since childhood, a private life behind public fame. Despite being one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, Stanwyck valued her privacy deeply. She wasn't someone who sought attention outside of her work. Instead, she lived quietly, often focusing on meaningful causes and helping others without drawing notice. Her generosity extended to struggling actors and charitable efforts, though she rarely spoke about it publicly. This reserved nature made her something of an enigma, admired, but not fully known. Even in moments of difficulty, she maintained that same sense of dignity. Whether dealing with personal loss or the pressures of fame, she chose to keep her inner world guarded. That decision wasn't about secrecy, it was about control. After a childhood where she had little stability, maintaining privacy became her way of holding on to something that was entirely her own: professional relationships and industry dynamics. During her long career, Stanwyck worked alongside many prominent figures in Hollywood, including Burt Lancaster. Like many actors of that era, their professional paths occasionally crossed in a world where strong personalities and creative energy often led to intense working environments. Stanwyck was known for her focus and discipline, while Lancaster brought a powerful presence and charisma to his roles. Stories from that time often highlight the dynamic nature of the industry: long hours, demanding performances, and the constant pressure to deliver excellence. Rather than focusing on speculation or exaggerated narratives, it's more meaningful to recognize how these interactions reflected the broader reality of Hollywood's golden age. It was a time when actors pushed each other creatively, sometimes clashing, but often producing unforgettable work as a result. Later, years, challenges, and quiet courage. Even after stepping away from acting, Stanwyck's life remained eventful. She continued to support charitable causes and stayed connected to the industry in her own quiet way. However, her later years were not without challenges. She experienced a frightening home invasion that left a lasting emotional impact, reminding her that even fame could not shield someone from real-world dangers. Additionally, health issues began to take a toll, particularly related to her long history of smoking. During the filming of The Thornbirds, she faced complications that affected her breathing and overall health. Despite these setbacks, she carried herself with the same quiet strength that had defined her entire life. She didn't seek sympathy or attention, choosing instead to handle difficulties with dignity and resilience. Final years and a meaningful farewell. Barbara Stanwyck passed away on January 20th, 1990, in Santa Monica at the age of 82. Her passing marked the end of an extraordinary life, one filled with both triumph and hardship. True to her nature, she requested no public funeral or grand memorial. Instead, her ashes were scattered over Lone Pine, a place deeply connected to her work in Western films. It was a quiet, symbolic farewell, one that reflected her lifelong connection to strength, independence, and the natural world. She left behind a legacy not just of memorable performances, but of perseverance, grace, and authenticity. Even today, she is remembered as a woman who didn't just act strong roles. She lived a strong life, shaped by adversity, but never defined by it.